Welcome back to Candid Football Conversations, a very, very special Wednesday evening we will have. And you see four people who are all smiling at the moment. And there's a big reason behind that. And we will come to talk about it because there's good news for Indian football today. And I hope, yes, we will really, really talk in depth about it. Joining me are Shayan Sarkar of Indian Food and Football, Hiren Patel of Curious Harry, and my favorite sports company co-host, I would say. I think Akshata might be unhappy about it, but guess Rahul Naresh. Rahul, welcome back. And gentlemen, all of us smiling. The big news, the good news, which came a few hours ago. India is going to the Asian Games in football, not only the men's, but the women's. And first reactions. Rahul, you want to start?
I don't know about what better timing. I think they realized that this podcast is going live at 9:30 today, and the good news had to come in before that. And that's exactly what happened. And we spoke about it, I think, on Sunday, and by then we were hopeful, but it wasn't done. And it's just great news. It's great to hear that we're going, and there are going to be some of these youngsters who will get to play. So it's great from my point of view.
Shine, your first reaction?
I am actually Arunauda. Today very happy. Actually, I was expecting. I was bit. I was in bit doubt that this would happen or not because 2018 we didn't get the chance to participate in the Asian Games football. So it's a good decision by the government. I think we should thanks the government for letting us play at least in the Asian Games. As Rahul said, the youngsters will get a chance, and one thing which is very important, and what I feel is that see, because Asian Games will not get. We are all aware that we will not get the full strength sides of the upper team. So we have a very good chance of defeating them and create a limelight in Asian Games. So if we are able to do that, I think that would get in more people to watch the game, and that is very important. Because I always feel national team success is very important for the game to develop in a country. So I think it's a very good decision, and I hope that India gets into at least in the quarterfinals to make some noise in Asian.
Hiren bhai, first reaction.
डेफिनेटली आई थिंक काफी ज्यादा आई थिंक सभी इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस पर्टिकुलरली जिस तरह से मतलब आई थिंक जो खुशी का एक रीजन है वो मेरे को ये भी लगता है कि सबने आई थिंक जिस तरह से यहाँ पे सोशल मीडिया पे इस बात को रखा था एज ए इंडियन फुटबॉल कम्युनिटी आई थिंक एक साथ आई इकट्ठा आई वो देख के सबसे बढ़िया लगा कि नहीं किसी चीज के लिए यहाँ पे इंडियन फुटबॉल कम्युनिटी पूरा आवाज उठा रही है एंड फाइनली उसका रिजल्ट मिला तो डेफिनेटली आई थिंक बढ़िया बात है एंड आई थिंक सैन भाई की बात से एग्री करूंगा कि चाहे भले ही ऊपर वाली टीमें हमसे थोड़ी वो मतलब चाहे भले ही उनकी लो क्या बोलते कि उतनी स्ट्रेंथ वाली टीम ना भेजे लेकिन आई थिंक इंडिया के पास मौका है यहाँ पे कि जिस तरह से अभी इंडिया में फुटबॉल के बारे में इतनी ज्यादा बात होने लगी है उसी के ऊपर बिल्डअप करते जाए एशियन गेम्स डेफिनेटली विल बी देयर क्योंकि हमको पता है कि एशियन गेम्स में दूसरे स्पोर्ट भी होते हैं तो काफी सारे लोग एशियन गेम्स को कवर भी करते हैं देखते भी है एंड उसमें फुटबॉल भी होगा तो डेफिनेटली सबसे ज्यादा जो खुशी की बात है मेरे लिए वो है पर्टिकुलरली फॉर दी वुमेन्स टीम उनको क्योंकि गेम्स की जरूरत थी हमको पता है मेंस के लिए तो नो डाउट एशियन गेम्स नहीं होता तो थोड़ा सा डिसअपॉइंट जरूर होता है लेकिन हमारे पास तो मतलब शेड्यूल है कि इनके पास मेरदेका कप किंग्स कप ये सारे टूर्नामेंट है लेकिन वुमेन्स टीम के लिए क्या आपने एक भी मतलब ओलंपिक क्वालिफायर से पहले एक भी मैचेस आपने अभी तक शेड्यूल नहीं किए थे तो उनके लिए काफी क्रूशियल था कि ये एशियन गेम्स आए और उसमें उनको गेम टाइम मिले ना सिर्फ कैंप लगाने से नहीं होता तो आई थिंक उनके लिए मैं ज्यादा मतलब मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि उनको भी फाइनली यहाँ पे मौका मिल गया है कि दे विल गेट दैट एक्सपोजर
Hiren, very important point. I think that a lot of us have also not discussed because, again, we were actually pushing more for the men's team to be part of the Asian Games competition. But on the other side, the women's were as important, and it's I think a very good sign that without much noise, also the women's have been cleared because there was some rumor yesterday that the men's team might be cleared, the women's might not be. And I think that would have been a big loss for women's football in India, especially looking forward at the next round of Olympic qualifiers. Good news, Thomas Deneby's contract has been extended. So that's another good news for the women's game in India. We will have an 8-team IWL starting in a few weeks. So overall, good news, positive. But I always look in, when things are going good, also at the negatives. I hope next time around the AFF doesn't leave it so late that on the last day there's then suddenly a clarity that we're not going, because I think now the planning also restarts. I don't know what the planning was. We'll also most probably talk about that 50-player list which had been released, which to me surprised me a bit. Rahul and I were talking about it on Sunday, about which names were there in that list, which were not on that list. But very, very important is that India is going, and a big thank you to the government of India. A big thank you to Anurag Thakur, who personally has put it out himself with that tweet. But you realize that it was his decision in the end to allow India to participate, and of course the AFF leading with Kalyan Chaube as the president, Shaji as the Secretary General, and the staff at the AFF and the Sports Ministry. Everyone involved, a big thank you. And I think all us who support Indian football, and remember I got a message this afternoon from someone in the Sports Ministry where he just wrote a WhatsApp saying, I hope you're happy now. and again, that's I think very, very important and big news, I think, for Indian football. And let's see how that is done. What was your feeling? I mean, if I ask all three of you, what did you expect? Did you expect today that this would happen, or were you rather thinking this won't happen, ye nahi hoga?
I think this is the last day for the आपको अगर नाम वापस लेना था तो आई थिंक लास्ट डे यही था. तो अगर आज मान ली कि नहीं भी होता अनाउंसमेंट तो इवेंचुअली आपको टीम तो सेंड करना पड़ता, क्योंकि आई थिंक एशियन कमेटी में आई थिंक ज्यादा आपको पता होगा कि क्या एग्जैक्ट रूल होते हैं कि अगर मान ली कि आपने नाम वापस नहीं लिया और क्या होता है. लेकिन आई थिंक आज लास्ट डे था तो आई थिंक फाइनली यहाँ पे स्पोर्ट्समैन की ओर से भी जो क्लियरेंस चाहिए था, हाँ वो तो मिल गया है. एंड ये बात अच्छी हुई कि इन्होंने नाम पहले ही सबमिट कर रखे थे, सारी चीजें थी वहाँ पे सेट इन प्लेस. तो एशियन गेम्स की कमेटी के सामने कुछ यहाँ पे अब प्रोसेस करने का बाकी नहीं था, तो सिर्फ यहाँ पे स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री की ओर से ही क्लियरेंस बाकी था, जो कि मिल चुका है. तो ये बढ़िया बात. लेकिन आई थिंक एग्री मैं करता हूँ कि इतना लंबा नहीं होना चाहिए था ये, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. जिस तरह से मतलब इन लोगों ने खींचा है कि पूरा लास्ट डे के आकर आपने अनाउंसमेंट किया है, जिस तरह से मतलब ये क्या बोलते कि हिंदी सीरियल का वो सास बहू का ड्रामा नहीं चलता कि एक दिन आ रहा है न्यूज, एक दिन नहीं आ रहा है. पिछले दो दिन से तो पूरा साइलेंट था, कोई अपडेट नहीं देने के लिए रेडी नहीं था कि भाई क्या होने वाला है. एंड फाइनली सडनली ट्वीट आता है. तो आई थिंक इस बार तो आई थिंक अंत भला तो सब भला वाली बात है, लेकिन फिर भी आई थिंक नेक्स्ट टाइम से मेरे को लगता है कि इस तरह के इश्यूज को आपको पहले ही रिजोल्व कर लेने चाहिए, और बाद में ही अगर स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री की ओर से अनाउंसमेंट हो कि भाई इतने ही स्पोर्ट्स जा रहे हैं, फिर कोई डिस्कशन का मतलब स्कोप नहीं होना चाहिए. मतलब आपने ऑलरेडी आपको पता ही है कि अब क्या बोलते हैं स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री का क्या क्राइटेरिया है. तो आई थिंक एएफएफ को भी अब आगे आने वाले जितने भी अगर इस तरह के कोई टूर्नामेंट है तो उसमें पहले प्रोएक्टिव रह के भाई क्लियरेंस ले लेना है, सारी चीजें करनी है. मतलब ये कैसे मैनेजमेंट का ही पार्ट है कि जहाँ पे आपकी ओर से भी कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ी सी गलती तो हुई ही है कि आपने मतलब पहले ही क्या बोलते कि आप ये लाइटली ले लिया आपने कि हाँ भाई हमको तो दे ही देंगे, जबकि आपको पता है कि लास्ट टाइम भी नहीं दिया था. तो आई थिंक यहाँ पे सीखने को भी मिला है एएफएफ को कि भी इस तरह की गलती आगे नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि वो कॉस्टली भी पड़ सकती है. तो आई थिंक लेट्स सी अब.
Rahul, Shan, anything to add on that?
Rahul, you can go ahead.
I think I wasn't sure when it was going to come. No, I was just saying that I wasn't sure when it was going to come out, but whenever it did come out, my only thing was I want to see how clubs approach this now, because what sort of an impact will it have on these players who will go away? I mean, again, like I wanted to understand from you guys what you guys make of this as well, because how do you think clubs would approach this whole Asian Games thing?
It adds another layer of issues. I think there are already issues with the extended requests of Mr. Steemanch, and with India's participation in certain competitions, World Cup qualifiers coming up, Duran Cup sort of ending, and 4 or 5 days later the Kings Cup starting. So a lot of players from the senior national team have been called also into the under-23 squad. 3 overage players being mentioned in the media are Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, Sandesh Singh, and Sunil Chhetri. So we can discuss that later if it's the right or wrong thing when we get to the squad. But it is, again, if I look at it from the other side, if you're a club official, you might not be very happy about this decision, because it does weaken your squad once more. There are certain teams which have 4, 5, 6 players in it, especially Mumbai City, Mohun Bagan Supergiant, have a lot of players in that probables list. So that will be also interesting how the AIFF moderate this and sort of say, maybe you go back to an old rule which you used to utilize 2-3 decades back and saying, listen, maybe 3 players maximum called up from a club. It's going to be very interesting. It's a tough call, but again, let's come to the squad thing a little bit more later on. But Shayan, your take? Did you think in the last few days, hoga ya nahi hoga?
I was thinking this would happen some way or the other because today was the last day, as Hadi said, and when till Sunday there was no update. I was expecting a positive outcome also. In fact, I even discussed with you on Monday, I think, and we were very quite hopeful that we can pull through this. So it's happened, and it's very good actually. I was very happy it has happened. So it's up to the boys now to perform to that in that level, and they do the justice to the decision taken by the government. Government has done their job now. Now it's up to the players who perform in the field and justify their presence in the Asian Games. I think government has taken exception to this case because they don't generally send a team which is ranked 18th in the continent. But they have taken exception. I think it's time for the team to perform. And what better place to perform than in Asian Games? Because as I already says, Asian Games, with all due respect, Asian Games, the level of competition is quite low if you compare to Asian Cup or other World Cup qualifiers. So we will have a good chance there. And if our boys are able to get in a good performance, I think this would help our game grow. I think that would be the very important thing, and people are highly anticipating. I think the matches probably the football is starting from 19th of September. What I know, it's after the Kings Cup is over, so we have the time now, and I think the under 23 team, which is playing in the which will be playing in China in the same month in this early September. I think that same team with 2 or 3 inclusion will be part of the team. I think that will be good. I'm very hopeful, Onawada, that I think we can do some pull up some good results there. I was very happy when I first heard that. I was very happy.
Well, that's good. I think everyone is happy. I think a lot of us are also relieved that this positive news has come. There was I think a bit of a fear that all this positive vibe which was sort of there in the last few weeks. Rahul and I saw it live in Bangalore. That might be lost. Do you think that? And this is a tricky one because again, social media, everyone is patting themselves on the back and saying, "Hey, we fans did it. We pushed it." Do you think the fans played a role, or do you rather think that this was a political decision in the background where, the government, the key people in the AFF, key people in the background who are well wishers of Indian football actually pushed the agenda? What do you guys think?
I think definitely. I think. Continue, Rahul. You can continue.
Yeah. No, I was saying, I think fans, like Arnava, you just mentioned that the good vibe that we've been carrying over from the international break with the national team, it's that energy that's kind of trickled into this as well, and fans and social media has really pushed it across the line. Probably, of course, it's not up to you at the end. Political decision, it is majorly, but I think if something had to get it just across the line and push it a little more, it was the energy that has come from fans from the national team set up winning those tournaments.
I think the फैंस ने डेफिनेटली कहीं ना कहीं रोल प्ले किया है क्योंकि डेफिनेटली जो मेजर काम था वो तो ऑब्वियसली AFF का ही था कि they have to convince sports ministry with their you can say past 4-year performance or whatever they have represented to the sports ministry, but they also can make a case about this also कि वो government, and obviously we all know that government, कोई भी government हो, they make decision on the what people, मतलब क्या people का लोगों का क्या वो पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है. एंड डेफिनेटली यहाँ पे AFF ने भी केस रखा होगा कि भाई देखिए इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस का जिस तरह से आप सोशल मीडिया पे ट्रेंड सारे चल रहे थे, तो वो भी एक जो आपका केस है उसको मजबूत करने में आई थिंक इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस ने जरूर वहाँ पे रोल प्ले किया है. बट आई थिंक मेजर पार्ट तो ऑब्वियसली AFF ने जिस तरह से कन्विंस किया स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्टर को वही रहा है, और जिस तरह के रिलेशन ऑब्वियसली हमारे प्रेसिडेंट के है विद दी रूलिंग गवर्नमेंट, और जिस तरह से यहाँ पे स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री में है, तो आई थिंक उनका ये मेजर रोल रहा है कि उन्होंने कन्विंस कर पाए कि आप फुटबॉल को ही एग्जाम्पशन दीजिए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे हमको पता है कि दूसरे स्पोर्ट भी मतलब डेफिनेटली अगर फुटबॉल को दे रहे हो तो वो भी बोलेंगे कि हमको क्यों नहीं। तो यहाँ पे स्पोर्ट्समैनशिप के लिए तो काफी एक ट्रिकी डिसीजन था कि अगर फुटबॉल को ही दे रहे हैं तो दूसरे स्पोर्ट को भी क्यों नहीं, लेकिन उन्होंने फाइनली फुटबॉल ने कन्विंस कर पाया कि आप पिछले 3-4 महीनों में हमारा परफॉर्मेंस देखिए, जिस तरह की यहाँ पे लोगों में हाइप है। तो डेफिनेटली आई थिंक ऑल दी स्टेक होल्डर, चाहे वो फैंस हो, चाहे एएफएफ हो, चाहे कोच साहब हो, काफी सारे लोग कोच को भी क्रेडिट दे रहे हैं कि उन्होंने भी यहाँ पे खुल के बात रखी। प्लेयर्स हो, सुनील सर ने भी आई थिंक रिसेंटली 3-4 जो इंटरव्यू दिए हैं उसमें उन्होंने भी मतलब एक इंडिकेशन तो दिया है कि भी एशियन गेम्स में खेलना चाहिए हमें। तो आई थिंक सभी की ओर से एक साथ मिलके जो कोशिश हुई है उसका ही रिजल्ट है कि हम ये सक्सेसफुली हम ये कर पाए हैं।
No, I totally agree with Harry and Rahul that it was a cumulative effort from both the fans and the administrators. AIFF also chipped in with their efforts in the last moment. They were late, but at least देर आए तो but दुरुस्त आए. But this happened, and some way or the other, we are able to play this game. I think that's the most important part, and I think the fans and all the feel good. The feel good atmosphere will continue from here on because it's already continuing. And if we are able to do some getting some good results in the Kings Cup and the Asian Games, that would really help. That would really help, and this would create a positive momentum, which is very much needed in this game. So I'm very happy in that phase.
Well, it's interesting also here to see some of the comments. Shaggy, as Sagar Birkar says, of course, it's political. Next year elections is what he's saying, right? Others is Ashu, for example, is another comment below, which says, I don't think it matters who made difference. Everyone should feel happy. Again, yes, on one side, yes, but again, I like to go a little bit more in depth into why things happen or why things don't happen, to make and try and analyze and understand how things can be done better. And I think that's the big question really, is that on the one side, very good that India is going to return to the Asian Games after 9 years in football, but on the other side is, why did we have to wait till the last second, to confirm all of this? Why did this all happen? And again, it's a challenge. I think it's a challenge for India. It will be interesting who is going to be playing, because again, there seems to be some conversations between the AFF and the government mentioning Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, Sandesh Jingan, and Sunil Chhetri being the 3 overage players. What is your take, guys, on this, that the 3 most established, distinguished players would potentially go to the Asian Games? And it will be interesting to see if BFC and FC Goa release the players. Last season it would have been all BFC. That would have been very interesting to see, if Simon Grayson would have released all 3 of them. How do you see that, if it's true that these 3 are going to be the 3 overage players? Shine, you want to start?
Yes, I can say, Unoda, if these 3 players have been sent, I think I'm quite happy with Gurpreet and Sandesh's selection. I think they are pretty young in that ways. But in case of Sunil, I have a bit doubtful. I'm a bit doubtful because, see, at some point of the others point of time, the Sunil will hang his boots. So there has to be a place now where some player has to be given chance in that position. So if you are depending on Sunil also in the Asian Games also, so where the youngster will get a chance to at least perform. After that only we can say he's not good enough or he's not capable enough. First, you have to give a player chance in his place. Problem is that I have no issues with Steam-Match. Steam-Match is doing pretty good job, but problem is that he has not tried anybody in that position, and that is very worrying factor for me. For example, if you may know injury can happen anytime, because he's an aging player. Injury can catch him anytime. So what would be our plan B? We have not seen a plan B upfront. This is our major problem in Asian, that I've said in many places. But in Asian Games also, if you are dependent on Sunil, why not give a chance to Ishan Pandita? Why not give a chance to a person who is fit or you're younger? we have to give people chance. If we are not able to give people chance, then how we can expect them to deliver? Because talent without opportunity is nothing. Talent has to be given opportunity to perform. If you are not giving them chance, and we are expecting Sunil at this age to perform in all level, this is not possible. And this is something we should keep Sunil fit for Cup. I think that is very, very important. Asian Games, I think we should try for something young. And regarding selection of Sunil, I think it is more to play with the galleries. Then the real problem in the Indian football is that we play for the galleries. We need people who are good enough, playing good in the younger at a younger age. They can do good value. Why not take a under 23 player? No, give him a try. Who knows? He can be a star. You never know who. But first you have to give them a chance. But again, giving Sunil, I think that is something I'm not personally liking it. But rest of the players, I'm okay with Gurpreet Singh Sandhu and Sandesh's selection. I think it's fine. But in place of Sunil, I think we should try out new people. It's high time, because whenever Sunil Chetri calls it a day, we will be in a big spot of brother, because we are not able to find a people to score goals. This problem is not only with the club teams. The problem is mainly with the national team, where we are not giving players chance in place of Sunil. That is the worrying factor for.
And that was a conversation we had also now on Monday, which is the point that I raised at the time. Is as much as I like to see Sunil play, should a young striker, whoever that young striker is it Ishan Pandita? Maybe it's Gurkirat, maybe even a Vikram Pratap up front. One of those guys, and also with Sandesh and Gurpreet in there, not allowing really players to grow into leadership positions. I think that is one worrying factor to me. Where I also said, I remember said to me, so therefore, let's. I think that's I'm interested to see also again if BFC actually allows multiple players of their forward line. If Sunil, Shivashakti are gone, your Gurpreet is gone. Darshan, exactly, a very valid point. Again, and I think the clubs come into a factor now. The fans have done their bit. The AFF have done their bit. Igor Stimac has done his bit. Now the government of India has done its bit. Now the question is, how does Indian football focus on this? Because Japan, Korea, even Iran will miss some of their top players who play in Europe, because at the start of the season they will not be released by their clubs, right? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and therefore it will be interesting to see. Hiren, your take on this?
I think my point of view is a little bit different. I think why they choose Sunil Chetri is, I think, because he AFF and I think they might thought ki Sunil become. We all know that he is the face of the Indian football, so I think they want to take him. But I don't understand why Sandesh Chingan and Gurpreet Singh Sandhu. When will you give a chance to another players in senior teams who are not regularly playing? I mean, there are a lot of starting 11 players who are in past two tournaments, I think, missing due to injuries. I think Suresh Wangcham, Manveer. I think I think 2-3 players easily can इस टूर्नामेंट में वो खेल सकते. तो मैं ये चाहता था कि rather than giving the chances कि who are regularly performing, give a chance player who are on the bench or either injured and coming from the injury, so he can get that effective, or you can say competitive match time, and he can be ready for the big matches. So मेरे हिसाब से तो आई थिंक संदेश चिंगान एंड गुरप्रीत सिंह संधू को लेके जाने का कोई सेंस नहीं, क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी आपने प्रोबेबल स्कोर देखे, उसमें काफी टैलेंटेड कीपर्स है कि जिनको मतलब इस तरह के मैचेस का अगर एक्सपोजर मिलेगा तो आई थिंक काफी बढ़िया होगा. सेम गोज विद द सेंटर बैक पोजीशन आल्सो. एंड सुनील सर के बारे में मैं उस बात से एग्री करता हूँ कि स्ट्राइकर में आपको दूसरे को यहाँ पे वो देना चाहिए. सिर्फ आप एज ए फेस उनको लेके जाए सही है. और जो मेरे को जो सबसे बड़ा कंसर्न अभी लगता है कि आपने क्लियरेंस तो ले लिया, लेकिन नाउ द शेड्यूलिंग इज गोइंग टू बी रियली डिफिकल्ट आई थिंक फॉर द AFF, because we all know that there is no news about the camp of the under-23 team. Camp लगेगा ही नहीं, क्योंकि most of these 50 probables are playing in the Durand Cup. All the ISL clubs are going to play their B teams, their bench players in the Durand Cup. So when will they, you can say कि camp कब लगेगा? 6 सितंबर को आपका पहला मैच है अगेंस्ट मालदीव्स अंडर 23 क्वालिफायर्स का। तो इसमें से जो 23-25 मेंबर जो भी स्क्वाड इसमें से जाएगा उसको आप ऑलरेडी आपको 1 वीक का तो साथ में टाइम देना पड़ेगा। ऑलरेडी आपका कोच नया आ रहा है अंडर 23 का एएफसी कप क्वालिफायर्स के लिए। तो मेरा तो सबसे बड़ा कंसर्न है कि अब ये लोग इसको कैसे यहाँ पे इस सिचुएशन को हैंडल करते हैं कि कब कितना कैंप का टाइम देते हैं, कितना एक आध कोई प्रैक्टिस मैच खेलते हैं कि नहीं खेलते। वो तो मेरे को नहीं लग रहा कि कोई प्रैक्टिस मैच हो ही पाएगा। आई थिंक जो भी फाइनल में टीम पहुंची होंगी उसके एक आध दो प्लेयर को छोड़ के एक आध वीक का कैंप लग जाएगा, बिकॉज 3 सितंबर को यहाँ पे दुरान कप का फाइनल है। तो मेजर कंसर्न इज गोइंग टू बी दैट। एंड 12 सितंबर तक आपका किंग्स कप है, 19 सितंबर से आपका ये क्या बोलते हैं कि एशियन गेम्स है, सितंबर के लास्ट वीक में आपका आईएसएल स्टार्ट हो रहा है। तो आई थिंक द शेड्यूलिंग एंड किस तरह से प्लेयरों को मैनेज करते हैं कि कौन से स्कोर में किस किस प्लेयरों को लेके जाते हैं, आई थिंक वो देखना काफी इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा और उसको कैसे हैंडल करते हैं।
I think that's a very valid point, right? The scheduling and the picking of the teams, because some players now already in preseason playing a whole Duran Cup for a month, then playing Kings Cup, from Kings Cup potentially from Thailand, then moving to I don't know where the camp would be, and then moving to China and then playing. I think that's a challenge, right? Because if I look at Akash Mishra as a starting 11 at the moment for India, Jigson Singh starting 11 for India. So that's going to be that's going to be very very interesting how they do it. Rahul, your take on this whole who to pick? I mean, as a BFC fan, I mean you guys might be without 7, 8, 9 Indian players going into the start of the ISL, because the ISL is also supposed to start around the weekend, I think on around 21st, 22nd of September.
I mean, going without Sunil Chhetri, Gurpreet, and Shiva, at least from what we've heard right now, is a huge blow. I think Shiva needs to start the season for BFC if he's going to have a good club season. He's got to start and he's got to hit the ground running. Apart from him, I genuinely feel like we spoke about this earlier also. No, I think for the over 23 players, they should have gone for a little younger, between the 25 to say 30 bracket, or like 25 to 28. Could have gone with Lachenpa instead of Gurpreet. Could have gone with say Changte instead of Sunil Chhetri as the poster boy of India. Could have gone with Manveer Singh ahead of Sandesh Jingan. Different options, basically giving those guys between that 25 to 30 bracket a chance and allowing them to play rather than the guys who already done it for so long. It's only better for these guys to get more experience as they probably become future leaders for India. So I think it would make more sense for these guys to be given a chance.
So that's going to be one of the challenges, I think, the squad selection, training, preparations, because this is a team which is in that form never played together. Or the last match was actually, most probably I was there against Kyrgyz Republic AFC under 23 qualifiers in 2021 on my birthday, 30th of October in Fujairah. So that's nearly 2 years. Again, we're happy, we're going. Now we come back to what has happened often in the last few weeks and months, is the preparations and the implementation. So that's a it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge.
Definitely, so, I think challenge. Continue.
I think it's going to be so tricky, I feel, because your club camp has already started, and then you suddenly have to switch to the national team and come back to playing club football again. And there's so much workload in this period. You've got the Duran Cup where you want these youngsters to play. It in a way, like it's really good, but it's also unsettling in a very weird sense that a lot of these young guys who are supposed to play the Duran Cup will not play the Duran Cup now. So, like, how do you guys see that happening?
I think most of these probable under 23 players are going to play in Duran Cup. because we already seen most in last Durand Cup also. Siva Shakti, how did he got into the BFC? Because he performed really well in the Durand Cup. So I think every ISL clubs are thinking like that. Ki Durand Cup is a testing site for us, ki where we can 2-3 youngster from the bench, or you can say B teams, we will try out, and either one of them is looking promising, then we can you can say ki include them into the main team for the ISL season. Also, the injuries concern are for there also for the ISL clubs. They don't want their star players to injure in Durand Cup. If that happens, then their whole season of ISL is gone off track. So that's why I think they will definitely use most of these under 23 players, or you can say B team players in this Durand Cup. And I think वही सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज मेरे को लगता है कि how this squad will be maintain, और you can say कि किस तरह से इनको मैनेज करते हैं कि किन किन प्लेयरों को, क्योंकि किंग्स कप भी है आपका साथ में, एंड किंग्स कप, AFC अंडर 23, ISL एंड एशियन गेम्स, 4 ऐसे कंपटीशन है कि जिसको आपको एक मंथ के अंदर आपको सबको मैनेज करना है। एंड 3 सितंबर तक आपका दुरान कप है, तो आपके पास विंडो काफी कम है। एंड उसके अलावा यहाँ पे सितंबर में देखे तो आई थिंक AFC चैंपियंस लीग का भी मैच मेरे को लगता है कि सितंबर से स्टार्ट हो रहा है यहाँ पे मुंबई सिटीज के लिए। आई थिंक 18 सितंबर से चैंपियंस लीग का मैच है, तो ये भी एक कंसर्न है कि आप किस तरह से, अगर मान लीजिए कि आकाश मिश्रा यहाँ पे एशियन गेम्स में जा रहे हैं, 19 सितंबर से वो हो रहा है, तो वो यहाँ पे मुंबई सिटी की जो मेन मैच है AFC चैंपियंस लीग का उसमें ही नहीं होंगे, तो आई थिंक कंसर्न काफी ज्यादा है। और आपको पता है कि मुंबई सिटी मोहन बगान का भी शायद सितंबर में ही है AFC कप का मैच। हाँ,
Mohun Bagan and Odisha FC as well.
हाँ, तो सबके आप देखिए, ये मोहन बगान और मुंबई सिटी ऐसी टीम है कि इसका सीनियर टीम में भी ज्यादा प्लेयर है, अंडर 23 के भी काफी सारे प्लेयर है। तो आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी रियली रियली चैलेंजिंग कि आप प्लेयरों को किस तरह से रोटेट करते हो, और कहीं ना कहीं एक आध प्लेयर को अगर इंजरी हो गई देन मतलब आई थिंक पूरा मतलब उनके लिए क्लब का जितना भी उन्होंने ट्रांसफर विंडो में प्लानिंग किया होगा कि यहाँ पे ये हमारा फर्स्ट चॉइस यहाँ पे लेफ्ट बैक होगा या फिर वो सीधा पूरा ऑफ ट्रैक चला जाएगा, उसको प्लान बी पे मूव क्या बोलते हैं कि वो चेंज करना पड़ेगा। तो ट्रिकी सिचुएशन तो है, चैलेंजेस भी है, एंड लेट्स सी कि किस तरह से क्लब्स आउटकम करते हैं, इसको क्लब कैसे हैंडल करते हैं, वो भी देखना इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा। क्योंकि यहाँ पे पता है कि फैंस का रिएक्शन क्या होगा अगर किसी भी क्लब ने मना किया। मान लीजिए कि मुंबई सिटी ने आकाश मिश्रा के लिए रिलीज करने के लिए मना किया, तो वी नो दैट कि भाई फैंस उसकी मतलब 1-2-3 कर देंगे। तो आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी रियली रियली ट्रिकी सिचुएशन।
No, but Harry, you are raising a point. If I was at Mumbai City, as in the past, मैं ही बोलता आकाश मिश्रा नहीं जाएगा, दूसरा लो। I would have said that, and I don't care what you as a fan say, because I'm also representing India in the Champions League. You raised a very, very important point. Mohun Bagan wants to win the AFC Cup. They don't want to play the AFC Cup. We discussed it the other night, Shayan, on your channel, right? That they want to win the AFC Cup. So that month of September, again, it's a typical problem of scheduling. The Asian Games is always in that September-October window, which is always a problem. And and you know, Shaggy raises a very interesting point, is when if players get injured, you know, so you know, which will be an issue, you know, which again, and the communication between the national coach and ISL coaches is not the best, what I've been told. And it could lead to a lot of things, because again, AFC an under 23 competition per se might not be, Asian Games might not be a reason to release players, you know. So there is.
I think the bigger reason is AFC under 23 qualifiers. The way I am looking at it, I think the main.
Oh, we just lost. Oh,
you can say ki
Asian Games.
We just lost you. Can you repeat your last sentence?
I am saying that for AFF also, AFC under 23 qualifiers should be a priority, where they have to send their you can say first choice under 23 squad rather than Asian Games. एशियन गेम्स में अगर आप 2-3 प्लेयर आप ऊपर नीचे करो तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बिकॉज वी ऑल नो दैट। क्योंकि आपका यहाँ पे AFC अंडर 23 क्वालिफायर्स अगर आप यहाँ पे फर्स्ट पे फिनिश करते हो, देन योर स्टेट गोज इनटू द अंडर 23 क्वालिफायर्स 2020 AFC कप एशियन कप 2024। सो आई थिंक let's see how they are. That's the challenge I think for AFF ki how they are going to prioritize the every competition. Either it's Asian Games, ISL को किस तरह से कब स्टार्ट करते हैं, फिर AFC कंपटीशन भी उनके लिए इतने इंपॉर्टेंट रहेंगे. क्लब भी जब केस बनाएंगे कि भाई हमारे लिए ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो यहाँ पे AFF के पास भी कोई काउंटर पॉइंट होना चाहिए ना कि हाँ भाई ये सारी चीजें हैं. तो आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी रियली इंटरेस्टिंग. You can say ki situation ki how both the parties, either it's a club, players, or you can say ki AFF, how they are going to tackle it.
I just want to ask you guys one question, just interesting one, because what would you prefer, club football or international football? What takes precedence first?
It is actually very difficult, actually, Rahul, to say, because see, if you see, AFC Mumbai City FC will be playing AFC Champions League, and if you ask me, for our ranking or anything when it's calculated, Asian Games is not of that importance for the FIFA. It's not considered in the FIFA dates. If you ask me personally, because this is something which we have to accept it. So where India is playing, I think Harry has put on a very important point. I think our under-23 qualifiers, what we are playing with in early September, I think that holds more importance than Asian Games, according to me. If you ask me, the importance over there will be higher, because there will be many things dependent on that. And if you are able to do well in that, you will be able to qualify for the main tournament next year. So that would be the most important thing, not the Asian Games. I understand clubs will have issues. AFA will have problems because you know that in September, in the first week of September, when Durand Cup gets over, we are already in the 7th. We are starting the Kings Cup. 7th to 10th is the date for the Kings Cup, what they have scheduled, what I've seen. Then after that, you're having Asian Games, which is starting on 19th of September. And after that, we are
Shayan, just to update you, I just googled it just to be sure about the match dates. The first match date in the Champions League, match day 1 of the AFC Champions League 23-24, which will also be the first Champions League to be played as per the European system of a August to May calendar, will be between 18th to 20th of September. That's 100% a clash.
100% clash. Oh, Asian Game के साथ ही clash ही होगा.
So the question is, would Mumbai City release Akash, release Vikram, release Gurkirat, release Ayush? I just have four.
My point is that if under 23 player currently at in terms of the age, if he playing for these ISL clubs as a regular starter, and if he plays for the senior national team, then he should be not going into the under 23 tournament, because what is the purpose of under 23 tournament? Either it's the AFC Cup, Asian Cups, or Asian Games. We are you can say कि ready कर रहे हैं हम player को कि for the senior national team. अंडर 23 का पर्पज ही यही है, बाकी तो उसका कोई रखने का पर्पज नहीं. अंडर 23 आप उसको चैलेंज के लिए रेडी कर रहे हैं. तो जो प्लेयर आपका अंडर 23 का इस क्वालिटी का है कि वो सीनियर टीम में अपनी जगह पक्की बना चुका है, उसको आप फिर से अंडर 23 में क्यों खिला रहे हो? दूसरे प्लेयर को मौका दो जहाँ पे उसी पोजीशन में, उसको भी रेडी करो. जब आपको बेंच पे जरूरत पड़ेगी तो वो भी प्लेयर रेडी होगा, उसको भी एक्सपोजर मिल चुका होगा. तो आई थिंक द कोर्स सिलेक्शन में आपको यही रखना पड़ेगा कि जिन प्लेयरों को, चाहे वो जिक्सन हो, अनवर अली हो, आई थिंक उनको इंक्लूड ही नहीं करना है. उसको आप क्यों लेके जा रहे हो अंडर 23 में? कोई सेंस नहीं बनाता. वो ऑलरेडी अपनी जगह पक्की कर चुके हैं, नेशनल टीम में भी, अपने क्लब में भी रेगुलर है. आप उन प्लेयरों को मौका दीजिए कि जो अपने क्लब में भी बेंच पे बैठ रहे हैं, प्रॉमिसिंग है, टैलेंटेड है, जब मौका मिला है कुछ दिखाया है टैलेंट, और उसके अलावा उनको सीनियर टीम के लिए भी कंसिडर किया जा सकता है. आगे आपको लग रहा है कि हाँ भाई ये प्लेयरों के पास पोटेंशियल है, आप उसको अंडर 23 में लेके जाइए.
I actually agree with Harry. I think those guys who are already cemented their position in the national squad, your purpose, I mean, of giving an opportunity for the younger guys in the Asian Games is for people who haven't played that regularly. Now, if you're taking the same guys and going, it doesn't make sense, because then your clubs will going to be angry anyways, and that guy's anyways playing for the national team regularly, week in, week out, and he's not even playing with the senior team that he would normally play with. So you're not helping your cause. So rather go with guys who don't play regularly at all.
I think Rahul, that's a very, very, very important point, and that's why my question also, the point is, the India under-23s that you're sending, and I take again my best example. The other example I have is Germany. You will not see a Jamal Musiala playing for the German under-21s at the Euros in the summer. He would have most probably been one of the best players in that tournament. He's played last year in the World Cup for Germany. So him, Florian Wirtz, other players who are playing with the senior teams are not being pushed back to the, others who are not regulars. Yusufu Mukoko, who's 18, he's playing for the under-21s. So therefore, smartly utilize your player base. Again, Igor Stimac said, I have a bigger player base now. Now show which is your bigger player base, right? Who is there who could step up in this position? And that's why I think whoever your senior players are, you have to think Mumbai City, Mohun Bagan Supergiant, Odisha FC have their own competitions, and there is no need to release players for under-23 competitions. So this is something, it is not senior international football. And yes, it's being mentioned by some people, before the Asian Games, the AFC is planning to slot in the AFC under-23 Asian Cup qualifiers, which will happen most probably in parallel to the Kings Cup, right? So the question now is, who do you send to the Kings Cup? And who is going to the under-23 competition? So it means, are you playing, as Ashu 26 says, with a B string in the qualifiers, and then will you strengthen your Asian Games squad? But I hope and I wish that the AFF now already as tonight picks up the phone and starts talking at least to those 3 clubs and says, guys, how do we sort this out? Because otherwise we have another problem, and it seems to be one problem after another which seems to be cropping up, right? Because planning strategy is not there.
But Arunava sir, I think problem there, वो खुद ही problem बना रहे हैं इसको. सिंपल सा आप देखिए कि जो आपकी फुटबॉल की हायरार्की है, उसमें आपको पता है कि अंडर-23 टूर्नामेंट का क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है, उसका क्या रोल है. ये तो आपको पता ही है कि आप किस लिए करते हो. अंडर-13, 15, 17, 9, 20, 23, उसका क्या रोल है आपकी फुटबॉल की, आपके कंट्री में आपको ग्रो करना है तो, और आपके प्लेयरों को आपको एक लेवल से अप लेके जाना है. तो ये आपको पहले प्रायोरिटी, ये अगर आपके माइंड में क्लियर है थॉट कि हाँ भाई इसका यही चीज है, तो फिर आपको ये दिक्कत नहीं आएगी. तो फिर आप इजीली इस तरह की सिचुएशन को आप टैकल कर पाओगे और प्रायोरिटाइज कर पाओगे कि हाँ भाई ये प्लेयर इस कंपटीशन में जाएगा, ये प्लेयर इस कंपटीशन में जाएगा. अगर आप ये चल के चलोगे कि हमको सब कुछ जीतना है और हमको जो बेस्ट है उसी को लेके जाना है, देन आई डोंट थिंक सो कि ये सोल्व होता हुआ दिखेगा. फिर आपको ये कहीं ना कहीं क्लैश होगा क्लब के बीच में, एफएफ के बीच में, या फिर प्लेयर कौन से कंपटीशन में कौन सा प्लेयर जाएगा. मैं इसीलिए जब ये 50 मेंबर का स्क्वाड आया तब मैं काफी ज्यादा सरप्राइज था कि भाई आकाश मिश्रा एंड जैक्सन सिंह को इसमें क्यों रखा है. मैं मतलब एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहा था कि इसको ये रखेंगे, क्योंकि इनको तो ये ऑलरेडी सीनियर टीम में अपनी जगह पक्की बना चुके, तो इसको फिर अंडर-23 में आने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. वो वहां पे रेगुलर, उनके पास किंग्स कप जैसा टूर्नामेंट है, तो क्यों हम उसको एशियन गेम्स के लिए भी इवन कंसीडर करें. किंग्स कप खेलो, रिकवरी करो, थोड़ा सा क्या बोलते हैं प्री सीजन 10-15 दिन का करो, आईएसएल में स्ट्रेट ऑन गोज इनटू द आईएसएल. आगे भी हमको पता है कि कितना टाइट कैलेंडर रहने वाला है. 3 या 4 दिन में हर खिलाड़ी को एक मैच खेलना है जब तक एशियन गेम आता है, तो एशियन कप आता है तब. एंड अगर हमको पता है कि 3-4 दिन में मैच खेलने का मतलब है कि आप इंजरी को अपनी ओर बुला रहे हो, सामने से बुला रहे हो, प्लेयर विल नॉट रिकवर. वो सिंपल सी बात है. एंड आपको 1 आध महीना चल जाएगा, लेकिन उसके बाद इवेंचुअली प्लेयर गोट इंजर्ड, ये हकीकत है. तो आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाई दे आल्सो कीप इन माइंड दैट आल्सो कि सिर्फ आपको यही सितंबर मंथ का ही प्लान नहीं करना है. अक्टूबर में कितना टाइट शेड्यूल है, अक्टूबर में आपके मेरदेका कप, आपका फिर से एएफसी कंपटीशन, आईएसएल सब चल रहा होगा. नवंबर में वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स, उसके लिए भी आपको इस वर्ल्ड कप, मेरे को तो लगता है कि वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स में क्या बोलते हैं कि एशियन कप से भी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट आपके ये सारे प्लेयर होने चाहिए सीनियर टीम के लिए. आकाश मिश्रा तो चाहिए भाई वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स में. तो यू हैव टू बी रियली क्या बोलते हैं कि आपको सब कुछ सिर्फ एक ही टूर्नामेंट को टारगेट करके नहीं सोचना है. यू हैव टू थिंक ऑल अबाउट दिस टूर्नामेंट. एंड फिर अगर वो डिसीजन बनाएंगे कि हाँ भाई इस प्लेयर को इस तरह से प्लानिंग करके चलेंगे, then they only can find solution. Otherwise there will be messed up हो जाएगा. मतलब I think player eventually player
September
got
will be
affected.
a mess. I think you
हाँ.
raise a very very important point that if the scheduling is not right, and I said tonight conversations need to start. Uh, 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 you know, the point here is what you do. Rahul, AS raises a very good point. Won't there be a pride clash? Convince the government to make us play in the Asian Games. The AFF want to put the best foot forward again. And that's why suddenly Sunil Gurpreet and Sandesh are in the mix, which I again don't think it's the right thing. These players have shown, are showing, will show that they are the best that India has at the moment, right? And the question is, did we go with the right intent to the government in convincing them and saying, send the team, give us the exposure, right? So that is something where we are. Is there a strategy behind it? I think that's the whole conversation. That's going to be very very interesting with all that is happening with senior. Again, we're talking about an under 23 competition.
Yes.
So therefore, yeah, very interesting point raised. Shayan, your take on it. I mean, if you would you like to miss your prized goalkeeping signing Prabhsukan Gill from playing in the first ISL game?
So it's actually always what I say is that I know Prabhsukan Gill is a very important player for us, but for national interest, I think as a fan of Indian football, I always want that he plays for country, and that's very very important because he can miss 1 or 2 games for us, but it's very important that for national duty, I think we should make player available because hardly Prabhsukan Gill will get any much chance in the senior national team because if you see the competition right now, it's players like him who can at least get in a look in this kind of competition. I think that's very very important. And AIFM needs to chalk down a proper plan because if you see Akash Mishra, Jixon Singh, you've gotten players who are already part of your senior team. So I somehow I feel that the AFL will have their task cut out this September because I'm not able to understand how they will manage it because if it's very difficult for me to say this in front of it, but it will be very 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 difficult to say this because you see we have got all the games here. We have got all the games. You're starting the month with Durand Cup, finishing Durand Cup. Then we are having that Under 23 Cup. We have the Kings Cup. After that, Asian Games. We have the Mumbai City FC playing the Champions League. Then in the early October, we have the Mardika Cup. So how they will manage this? They need a pool of 100 players, I think. At least
one important sorry Sen bhai, one important tournament we missed. I don't think so कि Federation Cup Asian Cup से पहले होगा. I think it will be after the Asian Cup. उससे
उससे बाद ही
पहले
होगा.
I didn't see any window कि वहाँ पे ये लोग इस फेडरेशन कप को कहीं पे
भाई
भी
कहाँ
organize
करेंगे
नहीं होगा
जगह ही तो नहीं
No,
है नवंबर में
your window will not work, na? Because if you look at
हाँ.
Mumbai City, will have to play, and I go again. This is online, which is available. I'm just reading it off. September 18th to 20th is the first match day. Second match day is 2nd to 4th of October. Third match day is 23rd to 25th of October. Fourth match day is 6th to 8th of November. Fifth match day is 27th to 29th of November. And the sixth match day either 4th to 6th or 12th, 13th of December. So Mumbai City will be going here and there, it's going to be a very, 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 very interesting scheduling.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think now too this will have more problems for Mumbai City FC and Mohun Bagan Super Giant because they have the most national team players in this.
Yeah.
And in this year too, they have paid a lump sum of money to get the national star in their team. And if they are not able to give them service, I think from the club's part also this is something not justified. We may ask many things, but I think Asian Games, I think we should try out new players. I think that's a good part. But again,
so that's the question. If we look at the list of 50 which was originally released, now it's going to be very interesting if the AFF has actually sent in an updated list. So that's the challenge now for the FF. Have they sent in an updated list which includes the three mentioned over 23 players? You know, that's one. And the question is, a lot of the players mentioned in that list, of course, there are regular ISL players. You know, Sachin Suresh is going to be, you know, Prabhusukan, of course, in goal. We've got Narendra Gehlot, Hormipam in there. You know, or do you allow players who are sort of bench players of ISL teams or reserve side players? You know, we look at players like Sumit Rathi, you know, Bryson Fernandez, Gibson Singh, you know, those kind of guys, Mohamed Amin, Mohamed Nemil. Do we give those kind of players a chance? Do we, for example, give a chance to Suhail Bhatt, who at the moment is impressing in the Kolkata League? You know, are you going to give in this, you know, he's doing well in the CFL. Do you give that kind of a player a chance? And that's the point, I think, that do you really, with all, you know, with all that is happening, what happens? And that is the challenge. That is the challenge. And I'm really looking forward to it, because the month of September will be most probably the craziest month of football from an Indian football context. I think we guys will meet up quite often to talk about it. That we've seen in the recent past, because suddenly, normally the ISL starts a little later. It starts in October. Your Durand Cup might have been played around the same time. A lot of teams would have played their B team. Some of them play their A teams, you know, or sort of an A minus. It will be very interesting to see. And some clubs, again, most clubs are now back in preseason training. It'll be very interesting, you know, who to take, how the whole thing's, how the whole thing goes. And the question is, the question now is, with the list of players given, when does the under-23 camp start? Because if I'm right, Clifford is supposed to take over the under-23s for the AFC under-23 Asian Cup qualifiers. When does Clifford get a camp? Do you actually start a camp maybe in the third week of August? So some of the teams might go out, you know, it's a very tricky thing.
Let's see. Actually, very tricky. Very tricky. So, I'm actually very. बताओ.
नहीं आप सेंड आप खत्म करो, फिर बताता हूँ.
मैं बोल रहा था डूरंड कप में भी ना, अगर आप गेम देखोगे, डूरंड कप में जनरली हम लोग सेकंड स्ट्रिंग साइड ही खिलाते हैं. सो अगर सेकंड स्ट्रिंग साइड खिलाएंगे, उसमें अंडर 23 प्लेयर्स रहेंगे. दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच विल हैपन. सो वहां पर आप कैसे कैम्प करोगे फिर? ये अच्छा चीज है, पॉजिटिव. कमेंट्स में बहुत सारे पीपल आर सेइंग दैट इंडियन टीम इज गेटिंग सो मच गेम टाइम. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी दे आर गेटिंग इट, बट शेड्यूलिंग, आई थिंक वो थोड़ा, आई थिंक वी शुड वर्क बिफोर इट, बिकॉज़ आई थिंक ये ना मुश्किल हो जाएगी. बिकॉज़ विदाउट प्रिपरेशन कुछ करोगे, रिजल्ट्स विल नॉट कम. Without preparation you can't get the result. Desired results needs to come with proper preparation, and camp need to be, because you see Clifford's first assignment with this tournament, and hardly he's getting any time. How to judge him also? That would be very...
and this is a team which has never played together in that way, right?
Exactly. That's
national team to thoda sa have experience na.
Correct. That's a
ये टीम पूरी नहीं है. और एक जो मेरे को चैलेंज लगता है, एफएफ ने खुद यहाँ पे क्रिएट कर दिया है, वो कर दिया है कि अब क्या है कि आपने स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री के साथ इतना लड़ झगड़ के आपने जो भी मनवा लिया है, अब आप पे प्राइड के ऊपर बात आ गई है, जो काफी सारे लोग कमेंट में भी मेंशन कर रहे हैं. प्रेशर है अब एफएफ के ऊपर, क्योंकि अगर आप एशियन गेम्स में भी चलिए, आपकी टीम मान लीजिए कि ग्रुप स्टेज से बाहर ही नहीं गई और वहां से ही निकल गई, तो आई थिंक फिर वो एक अलग आपके पास वो है कि भाई अब आपने इतना बोल रहे थे कि भाई हम अच्छा कर रहे हैं, तो फिर ये इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? आप ग्रुप स्टेज से बाहर नहीं जा रहे हो, फिर क्यों क्या पार्टिसिपेशन के लिए इतना क्या बोलते हैं कि हमारे साथ वो कर रहे थे? तो अब उनके वो वहां पे एशियन गेम्स को भी अब उसको प्रायोरिटाइज करना ही पड़ेगा. हमको पता है कि वो नहीं करना चाहिए, उनको भी पता है नहीं करना चाहिए, लेकिन उन्होंने जिस तरह से इसके लिए क्लियरेंस लिया है अब चैलेंज वो भी है कि आपको वहां पे भी डिलीवर करना पड़ेगा. और वहां पे तब डिलीवर होगा जब आप क्वालिटी प्लेयर लेके जाओगे. अगर वहां पे थोड़ा सा भी आपने कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया तो मतलब आपके चांसेस ऑब्वियसली थोड़े से कम ही हो जाएंगे. तो आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाई आई थिंक आपने अरुण सर बिल्कुल सही बोला कि सुनील सर, संदेश जिंगाने, ये गुरप्रीत सिंह का केस उन्होंने क्यों रखा, आई थिंक गवर्नमेंट को कन्विंस करने के लिए रखा है, मेरे को तो लगता है टू बी ऑनेस्ट, कि हाँ भाई ये देखो हम इतने सीनियर प्लेयर, हम सीरियस है बेसिकली एशियन गेम्स के लिए, उनका कहने का मतलब वही होगा। तो आई थिंक काफी मतलब टफ तो होने वाला, आई थिंक प्रॉपर अगर प्लानिंग के थ्रू नहीं चले तो मतलब आई थिंक देयर विल बी मतलब दिक्कतें तो बढ़ेगी फिर। आई थिंक दे हैव टू प्रायोरिटाइज कि आई थिंक पहले क्लब के साथ क्लियर प्लान करके चलेगा। अब ये नहीं चलेगा कि आप लास्ट मोमेंट पे सारा चीजें चेंज कर रहे हो कि भाई किंग्स कप से पहले 2 प्लेयर को अपडेट करके इसको निकाल रहे हो, इसको डाल रहे हो, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा। अभी आपको करना पड़ेगा प्रॉपर प्लान कि भाई आकाश मिश्रा किंग्स कप खेलेगा, सीधा आईएसएल खेलेगा, एशियन गेम्स नहीं खेलेगा। शिक्षण सिंह मान लीजिए कि आपको एशियन गेम्स में खिलाना है तो यहाँ से कोई टूर्नामेंट में आपको इसको छोड़ना पड़ेगा, आपको प्रायोरिटाइज करना पड़ेगा इन प्लेयरों को। और आई थिंक मेरे हिसाब से उससे भी बढ़िया दिक्कत तब आएगी कि कोच डिमांड करेगा बेस्ट प्लेयर। हमको पता है ईगो स्टेमिक चाहेगा कि मेरे को चाहिए भाई बेस्ट प्लेयर। अब ये तो वो नहीं बोल सकता ना कि भाई ये प्लेयर तो अभी क्या बोलते इसको रेस्ट कराना है। आई डोंट थिंक, तो वो बोलेगा तो मैं रिजल्ट नहीं दूंगा, वो तो क्लियरली उसने पहले ही बोल रखा है फिर भी। तो अब ये एशियन गेम्स में भी वही कोच है, तो वो तो बोलेगा मेरे को भाई चाहिए आकाश मिश्रा लेफ्ट बैक पे। अब क्या करोगे आप? अभी एफएफ के पास अभी इधर क्लब बोल रहा है कि ये अंडर 23 टूर्नामेंट की लेग का कैसे देंगे? तो आई थिंक
one thing you should not also forget is the clubs pay the salaries of the players.
प्लेयर, हाँ,
Right. AFF is giving them a daily allowance.
हाँ,
Um,
1500 रुपए।
so there are multiple issues. I see multiple issues which the AFF
मल्टीपल इश्यूज है यार।
will again. Today is the 26th of July. Let's hope for a good draw tomorrow. And I'm interested to see within the next 7 days what the AFF says. You know, when does the under 23 start their training for the qualifiers? When does the India team gather for Merdeka? Because normally FIFA window means 3 to 5 days before a game released by the clubs. We have the Asian Games. Who do you pick for the Asian Games? Who is allowed to stay back because Mumbai City has Champions League, Mohun Bagan, Odisha FC have AFC Cup, and the ISL is supposed to start around that date as well.
Can you search check AFC Cup match days? I think उसका पहला मैच डे 13 या 14 सितंबर है शायद मेरे हिसाब से।
No, I thought it was the same. I thought it. One second, I'll check it while you guys talk on. Let me just check one.
Mohun Bagan is playing their first game on 16th of August. What I've heard.
नहीं वो तो प्लेयर क्वालिफायर खेल रही है। ग्रुप स्टेज का तो सितंबर में स्टार्ट हो रहा है उसका भी, क्योंकि 24 अगस्त को ड्रॉ है। हाँ, 24 अगस्त को ड्रॉ है। तो ये देखिए किंग्स कप ने भी डेट चेंज की है। किंग्स कप पहले जो आप सेन भाई बोल रहे थे ना 7 से 10 सितंबर है, उन्होंने भी अब 4 से 4 अच्छा
Harry, Hiran, same. It's the same days as Champions League, plus minus. Europe, same like in Europe, no? Champions League is played first, and then Europa League and Conference League are played next. So the dates are the same. So it will clash. It will clash.
किंग्स कप ने भी अपनी डेट चेंज की है, 4 से 12 सितंबर कर दी है। पहले 7 से 10 सितंबर ही था, अब उन्होंने भी 4 से 12 कर दी है। दो दिन दोनों तरफ बढ़ा दिए। 3 सितंबर को तो आपका दुरंत कप का फाइनल है, और फाइनल में वही टीम पहुंचेगी जिसके मतलब हमको पता ही है कि फाइनल में कौन सी टीम पहुंचेगी। अच्छी टीम जो है वही पहुंचेगी ऑब्वियसली, और उसके प्लेयर मतलब फाइनल में वो खिलाना चाहेंगे। तो किंग्स कप का आप कब करोगे वो क्या बोलते हैं कैंप, तो उसमें तो वो प्लेयर ही नहीं होंगे।
नहीं करेक्ट ये तो है, थोड़ा तो दिक्कत है।
And I think Prasun Bhunia has a very valid point, Rahul, where he says all it needs is a meticulous planning, otherwise it will be a real mess. So therefore that's going to be, the AFF has a lot of homework to do now. They have a big thing today, and that's why I said congratulations to the federation for getting it over the line for India to participate in the Asian Games. Now comes the bigger task of fixing your scheduling, because your scheduling also of the ISL is being flexible this year in the interest of the national team. Now, if you're going to say, listen, national team, Now you need to be looking at the under 23s, and we're still saying the ISL will finish before the IPL starts in March. And you're saying the Federation Cup will also be played. Now, until
Before
last
April and
week,
May.
and then April and May, the Federation president has said, you know what, it's too hot. We shouldn't be playing football, right? So you're going to squeeze in 50 games within I think a few months. So you know that's going to be an interesting one.
Let's see. Very difficult this ahead for AIFF to plan and schedule it properly. That is
because there are multiple stakeholders in this. No, the AIFF themselves can schedule the national team games. The ISL is organized by FSDL. FSDL has, they're trying to. Some of you might have read about the tendering which is being done jointly with Octagon regarding television rights. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And I know that the ISL wants to finish before the IPL because they say you lose massively on the eyeballs. The IPL, whatever said and done, football wants to challenge cricket and whatever. The IPL is just the biggest thing that there is in Indian sporting calendar. No sports wants to clash with the IPL in an Indian context. So therefore, yeah, it's a nice homework for the AFF.
Other thing I want to mention here is that मैं काफी टाइम से मेरे स्ट्रीम में बोलता आ रहा हूँ कि we have to understand one thing कि चाहे आप 100 रैंक टीम हो, 200 रैंक टीम हो या फिर फर्स्ट रैंक की टीम हो, आपके कंट्री में जब क्लब फुटबॉल ग्रो करेगा और उसका शेड्यूल आप जितना बढ़ाते जाओगे, चाहे आप कितना भी बोल लो कि भाई नेशनल टीम हमारी फर्स्ट रैंक जो अर्जेंटीना होती है उसके प्लेयरों को 2 दिन लगता है क्लब से आने के, हमारे प्लेयरों को 2 वीक लगेगा कैंप लगाने के लिए, वो भाई आप कितना भी बोलो, या तो आपको फिर आप क्लब फुटबॉल छोटा कर दो, या तो क्योंकि हमको पता है कि एक आपको बात एक रियलिटी तो ये आपको पता ही है कि पूरे वर्ल्ड में किस तरह से आपका फुटबॉल चलता है। मार्च, सितंबर, नवंबर और ये अक्टूबर में आपके इंटरनेशनल मैचेस होते हैं। उसके अलावा आपका अगर प्रॉपर आपके पास क्लब सिस्टम है, स्ट्रक्चर है, तो पूरा साल आपका क्लब का मैच चलेगा। तो या तो आपको प्राइस अब आपको आगे आने होते, इस बार आपके पास थोड़ी सी लग्जरी है, आपने एक कर दिया कि आप 4 वीक का मांग रहे हो। ये मैं इस बात से एग्री करता हूँ कि एएफसी कंपटीशन एंड वर्ल्ड कप, ये दो टूर्नामेंट, वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर्स नहीं, वर्ल्ड कप, एएफसी कंपटीशन एंड वर्ल्ड कप, ये 2 ऐसे टूर्नामेंट है कि जहां पे आप कैंप की डिमांड कर सकते हो। दूसरे किसी भी यहाँ पे इंटरनेशनल अगर आपको टूर्नामेंट में आप कैंप की डिमांड कर रहे हो, तो या तो आप क्लब का जो कैलेंडर है या फिर उसको आप छोटा कर दो, फिर आप ये जो 12, 15, 20 टीमों के सपने देख रहे हो वो छोड़ दो, फिर वो पॉसिबल ही नहीं होगा। क्योंकि आप देखिए इस बार आपने क्या बोलते कि अब काफी सारे लोग ये डिमांड कर रहे हैं कि भाई वर्ल्ड क्लब क्वालिफायर से पहले कितना आप टाइम देंगे, तो वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायर से पहले नवंबर में नहीं टाइम मिलेगा, कैंप 1 वीक से ज्यादा तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं मिलेगा, 1 वीक भी नहीं मिलेगा मेरे को लगता है। उसके पहले आप किंग्स कप में बोल रहे हो, मेरदेका कप में, चलो मान लीजिए कि इंडियन टीम क्वालिफाई कर गई, अब नेक्स्ट सीजन की आईएसएल का सोचो आप, नेक्स्ट सीजन जब स्टार्ट होगी तब उस टाइम पे भी आपके राउंड 3 के मैचेस चल रहे होंगे, राउंड 3 के 10 मैचेस है, हर फीफा विंडो में 2-2 मैचेस होंगे, उसके अलावा आपका एक आध कोई और टूर्नामेंट होगा, तो तब भी आप फिर आईएसएल को आप बोलोगे कि हाँ भाई आप तुम क्या बोलते कि वो करो, फिर नेक्स्ट ईयर आप मान लीजिए कि फिर से आपका क्या बोलते कि एशियन कप का वो आ जाएगा, तो ऐसे तो हर साल वो चलता ही रहेगा आपका, आप एशियन कप भी रेगुलरली खेलने वाले हो। तो ये तो देखिए फुटबॉल फैंस को समझना ही पड़ेगा, इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस को, कि भाई फुटबॉल इसी तरह से वर्क करता है, और एक कोचिस को भी, जो भी इंडियन कोच बने नेक्स्ट, आई थिंक उसको भी एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा कि भाई मेरे पास ये जो आप बार-बार आप देखिए एशियन कप के लिए आप कैंप की डिमांड करो, वो इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, वो बिल्कुल आपकी हक है कि भाई कितना बड़ा कॉन्टिनेंटल टूर्नामेंट है, उसमें चलो आपने बोल दिया तो थोड़ा सा 1 साल के लिए एडजस्ट कर सकते हो, 10-15 दिन का ऊपर नीचे। लेकिन आप हर वक्त ऐसा कोई टूर्नामेंट आएगा और उसमें आप बोलोगे कि 2 वीक का चाहिए, ये 3 वीक का चाहिए, दैट कांट बी पॉसिबल। और वो भी आप अंडर 23 का भी अब आपको चाहिए, अंडर 23 में भी आपको कैंप चाहिए लंबा, आपको सीनियर टीम के मेरदेका का किंग्स कप जैसे टूर्नामेंट में भी आप 2-3 वीक का अगर हम एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे कि कैंप मिलेगा, तो ये तो कभी पॉसिबल नहीं होगा, ऐसे नहीं चलेगा। या तो आप फिर आप क्लब फुटबॉल को 10 टीमों का कर दो, 2 महीने का खिलाओ, बाकी तुम नेशनल टीम के लिए 1.5 महीने का कैंप लगाते रहो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है।
And that will not happen. No? I think what India needs to move, India needs to move towards a season which is aligned to seasons in any country of the world, right? I mean, and the point is, I spoke to a friend of mine who's a national coach of a team in another Asian country. He said, I would love to have these lengthy camps that your coach is asking for, because the league has to run. and this is something so therefore again I think it's a very 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 interesting one, and it'll be very interesting to see how the AFF sorts out August, because if we're saying that okay, listen, let the ISL teams play with their reserve team players in the Durand Cup, but those then go to the under-23 Asian Cup camp. So who plays? So did it make sense to blow up the Durand Cup? Should you rather have played a knockout tournament? So therefore, it's a very 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 interesting scenario that will evolve, with also knowing the issues that the AFF has with FSDL in the background, with contract extension, other things, no broadcaster at the moment, no title sponsor at the moment. It's nice to play national football, but again, club football pays the money. That is something that I think everyone needs to understand. If you like it or not, international football is not paying you the money. Club football is bringing the money, and the players are getting their salaries. Otherwise, it's not going to be happening. So therefore, that's going to be. So therefore, that's there. So
there are some things we can dream of, and there are some things that's actual reality. And actual reality के हिसाब से
we don't live in reality. I was telling on Shan's channel on Monday when we were talking in Bengali, I said in Indian football we live in La La Land or Dream World, whatever you want to call it. You have to wake up and talk about the realities. Again, don't try scoring brownie points with sending letters to the Prime Minister or trying to get brownie points by showing, oh, ye kar rahe ho, wo kar rahe ho. Get things sorted. I say implement it, get the work done. Right? It makes no sense to show we're doing this, we're doing that. Oh, brilliant. No, you're not. You have. Why are we in this situation? Last second. With everything, it seems to be last second. Right? So therefore, I hope, maybe someone is listening, you never know, that that you can sort this thing out. Otherwise, it's a very very difficult period coming up with which will be messy between the federation and some of the big clubs. Enough of Asian.
ये तो मैं एक आप बता देता हूँ. ये तो अभी पहले इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस को आगाह कर देता हूँ. ये तो अभी यही सिचुएशन है. और अगर आपका इंडियन फुटबॉल अच्छा हो गया, हमारा और भी अच्छा करने लगा, तो भाई जब कोई प्लेयर, मैं इस बात का इंतजार कर रहा हूँ कि कोई प्लेयर बोलेगा कि मैं क्लब, क्योंकि हमने यूरोप में देख रखा है ऑलरेडी कि प्लेयर कभी कभी क्लब को चूज करते हैं और दी कंट्री वो नहीं खेलने जाते. बीच में मतलब बड़े टूर्नामेंट में तो जाते हैं, उसमें कोई वर्ल्ड कप
हो जाता है. It happens. African Cup of Nations played in January. African players have decided to play for the European clubs or even in the MLS rather than going to the tournament in Africa. I said Yoon-Min Son 1 day before the tournament joined South Korea. Last India, when he played India also, he joined the tournament 1 day before.
तब मैं इंडियन फुटबॉल फैन से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि तब उस प्लेयर को आप देशद्रोही मत बना देना भाई. ये आप रियलिटी देखो पूरे वर्ल्ड में किस तरह से. आपको पहले तो यही समझना पड़ेगा कि फुटबॉल ऑपरेट कैसे होता है. आप उसको अगर दूसरे स्पोर्ट के साथ कंपेयर करके और पूरा उसको वैसे ही अगर देखोगे तो आपको हर वक्त वही लगेगा कि यही होना चाहिए. और आपके भाई इंडियन फुटबॉल टीम का भी लेवल क्यों बढ़ा है? क्योंकि ISL जैसे टूर्नामेंट में आपके प्लेयर 10 साल से खेल रहे हैं फॉरेन प्लेयर के साथ, इसीलिए उसकी क्वालिटी बढ़ी है. कोई आसमान से या फिर एकदम से कोई ऐसी ट्रेनिंग करने नहीं लगे कि उसको एकदम से पासिंग करना आ गया है. तो ये देखिए ISL आपका बेस है कि आपकी नेशनल टीम अच्छी बनेगी. तो थोड़ा सा टाइम जरूर लगेगा, लेकिन यही सही रास्ता है और एक हार्ड वे है, लेकिन आपको ये एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा. इसमें चाहे आपको पहले साल में इतनी सक्सेस नहीं मिलेगी, लेकिन जब तक आपका क्या बोलते हैं कि लीग सिस्टम या फिर लीग क्लब स्ट्रक्चर इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग हो जाएगा, ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी नेशनल टीम भी भाई फिर सक्सेस हासिल करना लगेगी. वो फिर उसको फिर ये कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी कि 1 वीक का कैंप चाहिए, 3 वीक का कैंप चाहिए. प्लेयर ही रेडी होंगे फटाक से, 3 दिन में आए मैच खेलेंगे. तो ये समझना पड़ेगा हमको. हर वक्त एक लास्ट में बोलना चाहूंगा, हर वक्त में हम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि एक क्लब बस फुटबॉल में इंडियन नेशनल टीम के बीच में आपको कौन कौन बुरा है, ऐसा नहीं होता कि ये क्लब को चूज करना है या फिर नेशनल टीम को चूज करना है। आपको रियलिटी देखनी पड़ेगी कि क्या सिचुएशन है। हर पॉइंट को आप उस क्या बोलते हैं फाइनल उस पे नहीं ला सकते कि भाई ये क्लब को चूज कर रहा है या फिर नेशनल टीम को ये प्रायोरिटी देनी चाहिए। कोई भी कंपटीशन होगा, छोटा सा भी, किंग्स कप भी है, तब भी हम बोलेंगे कि आईएसएल ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है या फिर किंग्स कप है। ऐसे नहीं होता। आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि आईएसएल का क्या वैल्यू है। सिर्फ इस टाइम के आप अभी ये किंग्स कप आप आ रहा है इसलिए आप सोच रहे हो किंग्स कप के बारे में, आईएसएल की क्या पूरी रही है वो तो आप देखो भाई।
And I give you another example, a very famous one. I don't know if you followed it in 2017 in the Under-17 World Cup. Jadon Sancho was playing for England, and then Borussia Dortmund called him up for a Champions League match in Cyprus. So Under-17 World Cup, Tata bye bye, yaar, Champions League, right. And he was on the substitute bench. Khela bhi nahi, right?
Khela bhi nahi,
so therefore, these are realities. And again, all stakeholders need to come together to find solutions which work. But this one will be a challenging thing because again, the AFC has no influence on when the Asian Games are scheduled. That is something which the Olympic Committee of Asia sort of decides on when to play. And it's normally in September, October, because that seems to be the best window, especially in the Eastern Asian region where it's mainly been held in the last few editions. So therefore, yeah, that's where we stand. And I think we've discussed it for an hour and 10 minutes. And I think we could go on for another 2 hours about this topic. But there's no solution to this. So, best of luck to those guys, whoever have to deal with this and sort it out, because it's not an easy one to sort. Because again, be it Igor Stimac, be it Clifford as under-23 coach, they'll have demands. So therefore, so that, and again, it would be interesting to see and have a conversation with a Darren Caldera or with a Simon Grayson. Are you willing to release Sunil and Gurpreet if the ISL starts around the same time as the Asian Games are going to be held? So I think that's where it stands, and it will be interesting. Moving to transfers, you want to talk about transfers? And just one last point, which we didn't touch in this now 70-minute conversation. I just mentioned it at the start. The bigger thing, that the women are going. So that's an important one. Huh? For them, they don't have this whole scheduling issue at the moment. For them, very important going before the Olympics, and therefore Olympic qualifiers. Very, very good that the women's are going to get that exposure. Thomas Deneby is back. I think that was a demand also from the players. So therefore, that's a positive before we now head into transfers, gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a solid conversation about a long 70-minute conversation about the Asian Games. But as far as transfers are concerned, I'll start off straight away. At least when I haven't seen too much movement this week. BFC gotten a couple of players. They've gotten Jessel. They've gotten Shankar Sampangi. He's returned to the club after 6 years, so there's been a bit of buzz around that. And
you're surprised with Shankar coming back to BFC after his time now at Ranglas?
I don't know what to make of it, Arnav, actually. So I haven't really watched him play in a long time. So I really don't know what to make of the Sunny. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. He'll probably play in the Durand Cup, so that'll probably give us a good indication of what he can bring to the squad now. I think he's about 28 or 29. I think around that age. So we'll see how that goes. But Jessel's an interesting one because if he can play regularly, I think it gives Simon Grayson the option of playing Roshan somewhere else. And he is such a versatile player. He can play on the right if he wants to play him at right back. He can play there. He can play him up the pitch if he wants to. So Jessel's inclusion, I think, is very, very interesting because it allows you to use Roshan in probably better areas. So these are a couple of things. And Jayesh Rane has gone off on loan to Mumbai City. I'm sure we'll touch upon that. But yeah, as far as BFC is concerned, that's been
surprised about Jayesh moving to Mumbai City.
Not really. No, I mean, because he was clearly surplus. I think at BFC, he wasn't used much in the ISL season by Simon Grayson. So yeah, I don't know where he would fit in. So given the fact that he isn't going to play much, and if you're not going to utilize him, you might as well let him go out on loan. So yeah. Chan, East Bengal.
It's Bengal. There is not much addition. I think they got in. They're trying to get in one player from Europe, Spaniard actually. He's currently age 35 years old, and there's a player from Perth Glory. Actually, the name Curious was saying that they are the two foreigners. They are likely to go with it. But what I'm hearing from the sources in Kolkata that Quadrat is not happy with the selection of foreigners. At least these two foreigners. So they are looking at other options also. So I think because Quadrat started his program yesterday. He started his training yesterday, and initial reaction of his with the team was that he's happy that he's joined the team, but in the very first day he has that huge hope of expectation, burden of expectation on people because when he came at 3 p.m. on the Monday morning, there were around 100
3
to
a.m.
200 people.
Shayan, 3
3
a.m.,
a.m.
not p.m.
3 a.m. Sorry, 3 a.m. in the morning. So it was it was people stranded in the airport. Many people came down to see him, and he understood that it will be very difficult for him because if he doesn't get the squads he wants, it will be very difficult for him to get in that desired result. So till now,
Sanbhai, how do you see the both the you player you mentioned are linked are both the centre back? So do you think that East Bengal are needed only two foreign centre back, or you can say one foreign centre back and one foreign player in another position? Because if these two players are signed, then your foreign quota is over. 6 players are signed. So how do you see that?
problem here is that East Bengal has this problem. They don't have good quality Indian centre back. That's the problem they're having. And Quadrat yesterday in the meeting, what he from the close sources has said that he needed a very good quality Indian centre back, which he's currently not getting. Because if you see Lal was good, but again, if you want your team to be in the top 2 or top 3, you need a better centre back than him, right? It's to be very honest on that part. So we have to take two foreigner centre backs because we don't have that quality on our defense. That's the issue we are having, and the quality of the foreigners which were shortlisted, I will not comment on that, but I've seen their record, and I was praying that these signings don't happen actually for the club because we don't want a Iliandro or a Ilandro fiasco to come again this season because club is in club supporters are very happy. Quadrat has come. People are very celebrating their new coach. East Bengal in Kolkata League had some hiccups, 1 or 2 games. We know George is currently handling the team over there. So hopefully we have started early this season. Last year, in this time, we were not in a position. We didn't have an investor to start on at this point in time. So at least we have started early. I'm hopeful that we'll do good, but currently in the transfer market, it's very difficult to get a centre back. And I'm saying it again and again. Hornby Pump to East Bengal was a blind rumors, which was shouted out by people, and I think we need to clarify this. This is something which is not happening, and East Bengal fans need to understand that this is not happening. Truth is something else, so let's not discuss that. But East Bengal currently needs to work on their backline. I think that would be their key factor. Will they go up the table or down the table? That would be the most key factor, what I feel, of this season. So let's see what happens.
Moving on to Mohan Bagan. Harry, were you surprised with the player reveal event? I don't know what exactly they've called it, but what did you make of that?
I just saw today the player revelation on the ground. I think जिस तरह से प्लेयरों को वेलकम किया गया, बारिश आ रही थी फिर भी प्लेयर आए, उसके बाद जिस तरह से भाई फैंस ने मतलब पिच को इन्वेट कर दिया. आई थिंक जिस तरह से इस सीजन की देखिए आप वाइब है, आई थिंक फॉर दी मोहन बगान एंड ईस्ट बंगाल फैंस, आई थिंक ऑन अनदर लेवल. मतलब आप उसको कंपेयर कर सकते हो कि जिस तरह की हाइप आपको यूरोपियन क्लब्स के लिए जब वो प्री सीजन करते हैं, जब प्लेयर जाते हैं तब वो दिखती है, उस तरह का माहौल यहाँ पे डेफिनेटली मोहन बगान एंड ईस्ट बंगाल के फैंस ने यहाँ पे क्रिएट कर दिया है, चाहे वो जैसे प्लेयर को रिसीव किया वो सारी चीजें हो। लेकिन मोहन बगान के लिए तो फैंस के लिए जो सबसे बड़ा सरप्राइजिंग था इस वीक वो था उनके चहेते प्लेयर पोग्बा साहब का एयरपोर्ट पे आना, और उसको देख के मतलब फैंस भी सोचने लगे कि कहाँ से आ गए हैं भाई, कि ये तो मतलब तो वो आई थिंक सबसे ज्यादा उनके लिए सरप्राइजिंग था कि अब यहाँ पे मोहन बगान एंड जॉन फेरांडो के क्या वो प्लान में है, या फिर उसको जो क्या बोलते हैं एफसी कप में जो आप 8 प्लेयर रजिस्टर कर सकते हो उसमें रख रहे हैं, क्या वो नेक्स्ट क्लब में मूव ऑन कर रहा है 1 महीने में, अगर होता है तो वेल एंड गुड। तब तक तो आई थिंक वो टीम के साथ रहेगा, दुरान कप में भी आई थिंक टीम के साथ ही कंटिन्यू रहेगा वो। तो वो आई थिंक सबसे बड़ा सरप्राइज है उनके लिए कि पोग्बा साहब का क्या होगा। बाकी तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि मोहन बगान के लिए ऐसा कुछ है, आई थिंक उनका तो अब सेटल हो चुका है स्कोर भी, फॉरेन वाइज भी, इंडियन प्लेयर वाइज में इट्स ऑलमोस्ट सेटल। तो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि और कोई यहाँ पे उनको क्या बोलते हैं कि प्लेयर को ऊपर नीचे करने की जरूरत है।
Arnava, from one settled spot to another, Mumbai City. Apart from Jay Rane, any other movement?
There's been talk about Jeekson Singh, so that is still on. So therefore, I'd be waiting to see if that deal somehow comes through. But again, that would be another interesting one when it comes to Team India and Indian under 23s. If Jeekson also joins Mumbai City, puts a little bit of more pressure on the whole AFF ecosystem. So that's that. I think Mumbai City have done their job quite well, and they've looked at who's going, who's coming. If you look at that, Murtada Fall and Amaja, who have left the club after a very, very successful stint. You bring in a very experienced TD as a backup to Royston Griffith. On the other side, you bring Völner Neef, established player who joins in from the Hungarian league via the City Football Group scouting system. You've kept the other foreigners. You're able to keep Changte. You're able to keep your young players. There's some talk potentially Gurkirat might go on loan somewhere. They're not sure because Ayush Chikara has done quite well in the Reliance Foundation Developmental League, and also now they think that he's a potential number 9. So therefore Gurkirat might be sent on loan, and I think Cheyenne is hoping that Gurkirat might go to his club. But that one we'll have to see. I think Mumbai City have a balanced squad. They've overall, I think they're looking for one more left back as a backup to Akash Mishra, because they've released Vignesh as well as Mandarao Desai. So therefore, that's sort of it. And again, there was some talk about Nawaz going somewhere on loan. So maybe risking Ahan Prakash as a number 2 or Bhaskar. So therefore, the squad looks very, very settled at the moment.
It does. A club that has made a few signings in the past few in the last week or so. Cheyenne Hyderabad have brought in a few foreign players across the field. I was just looking at their squad before we started today, and you guys have any takes on that? Because it looks like they've kind of replaced whatever they've lost. But again, don't know much of these.
No, last episode when we were discussing this, and in fact I said this in the channel only, that Hyderabad, according to me, is a pretty decent side. Because we were discussing about what they're getting in players. They've recently got this Finnish player from Finland. His name is Petteri Pennanen. What I've heard, he's quite a decent player. And they have Hitesh Sharma, what we have discussed last week. Same thing happened. Hitesh Sharma is staying with them. So their team is quite balanced. If you see with Gurmeet Singh and I don't know about the status of the Sana, but what I'm hearing, Sana is also likely to continue with them. So with that, and Mohammad Yasir and Sahil Tabora, Hitesh Sharma, Nikhil Pujari, this team looks quite decent to me. People were thinking this team would break off, and they've got new addition like Vignesh, who come from Mumbai City FC. Then they've got in Alex Sazi, then Makhan Chote, and they've got in this time Jonathan Moore and Joe Knowles from Australia. I think they've got in some good players, and there was certain amount of uncertainty regarding their team building activities when they had the sponsor issue. What I'm hearing, that this is getting solved very in, I think, in few days we will officially come to know who would be their taking their financial way forward. And I'm happy that Hyderabad at least is making a statement in the transfer market, and it's not all over for Hyderabad, which we discussed in the last episode. And they are going in the positive direction, and it shows that ISL is becoming more and more competitive, because I am seeing all of the teams, not only Hyderabad. There were many other teams who were out of the last. If we see 1 month back, we were quite skeptical, or we would say pessimistic about their chances. But now, when they have started their team building, we are seeing a different old story. And I think this 10th ISL season would be the most competitive ISL season of my life. I think this would be the most competitive season. And coming back to Hyderabad, they've done in a very good decent squad, and they are one of the player teams who can go to the top 6, or who know, they can go to the top 4 if everything clicks well. You never know, because the team on paper is one of the balanced teams. What I feel. In fact, many of the teams which you have already mentioned, they are even. Let's see. Ishan is saying, kindly confirm Makhan Chote to Hyderabad, as it was news in January, but paper was pending. Was it happened? Yes, it has happened, and Makhan Chote is with Hyderabad. Ishan. Huh.
Yeah.
I think there are some interesting signings from the clubs we not talk a lot about. I think first is, I think, Round Glass. They have signed a Serbian centre back. Northeast United have signed a Spanish striker. I think Chennai FC confirmed the Motherland FC player Connor Shield. There is a news that Kerala Blaster are looking for the Brazilian attacking midfielder type of player. So I think this club, Jamshedpur FC, completed his Japanese midfielder signing.
Yeah.
I think these are the clubs which are needed a lot of signing required. उनके पास अभी भी काफी सारे साइनिंग बचे हैं. So I think interesting. What's your take on this whole signing, particularly Round Glass? I think they made some interesting Indian player signings also in past week. Arunavasa.
I think Round Glass, what they've looked at is, because they were playing I-League last season, they've looked at players who've played well against them, right? They've looked at players who've done well in the I-League. And some of the players, again, Amarjit Kiam is a player who did not get a chance at East Bengal last season. I'd seen and met Amarjit in Bangalore. He was sort of working on his fitness. Looks interesting. Therefore, I think, and Round Glass Punjab has not been spending much. They've kept the core foreigners. Kiran Limbu is there. Juan Mera is going to be there. Luka Machin as well. So they're keeping those, bringing in, as you said, a centre back from the Balkans again, which has been a good thing for them. It's worked for them. And bringing in Kingsley Fernandez, who's done well over the last 2 years at Churchill. So that's a wise move. And you mentioned Chennai, and Connor Shields, of course, is a good one. Joining up with Jordan Murray, that's a good strike force. Huh? Irfan Yadwa, the also talented striker from Bangalore United. Farooq Chaudhary, forgotten, by many. So therefore, that's a good one. And if we go out again, we've discussed BFC. BFC has done quite well for themselves. East Bengal, as per this date, look stronger than last year. But as Shine has mentioned, I think the centre back positions will decide how good or bad the season will be for East Bengal. So therefore, East Bengal needs to go it. Goa has done some very, very interesting signings. I think Manolo Marquez has been on the market. Uday is bringing in from Hyderabad, who he's worked with, very, very trusted guy. Victor Rodriguez from Odisha. East Bengal were targeting him. You see Shine's face, disappointed, didn't go to East Bengal. Players like Boris Singh, Renier Fernandez, who can do more. Udanta needs to resurrect his career. Experience in Sandesh Jing and Rowlin Borges on loan from Mumbai City. So Goa look a solid unit, right, at the moment, from the players confirmed. Jamshedpur has been quite active, surprisingly to some people, most probably. Stefanovic, very interesting guy. Younger days with with Inter. Won even the Champions League under Jose Mourinho. Manzano. Manzoro, an interesting guy who's coming in, French player, and Tachikawa, Japanese player who's in Malta. So Pravad Lakra, who had a decent season at Northeast United. So they have been working on their things. I think the Blasters have been very interesting with the strategy of offloading quite a number of players who we would have put into the talented player sort of category, right? And Sahal at the top, Ayush Adhikari comes to mind. Gibson is gone, so therefore, so they have done their work. Yeah. So they are there. Who else have we got? Northeast mentioned under new management, under new coaches. Redim Talang, Falguni Singh going in. Players who have done well in the Indian circuit. Zabako has come in. Dinesh Singh, rated him highly at Srinidhi as a centre back. I think that would have been an East Bengal signing, a good East Bengal signing, Shayan, if they'd looked at an Indian player. And then, of course, Nestor being the latest. So Northeast is done. Odisha has been outstanding in regard to, because starting with Lobera. But Odisha and Goa are very interesting in regard to how they've changed their strategy. I said it last week. Last season, they were trying to give the young players a chance, not building too much on experience. Now, suddenly, under Lobera and Manolo Marquez, sort of the strategy changes. Last week signing, of course, Jerry Larinzwala from East Bengal, who wasn't rated that highly at East Bengal. Roy Krishna, I think that's a big surprise, I think, to many, many people that Roy Krishna signed for Odisha, because that sort of blocks off a potential move for Hugo Bumus. I think a lot of people thought that he might be surplus to requirements at Mohun Bagan Super Giants. So that doesn't seem to be working as well. So they have that. So yeah, so I think the teams have done very well for themselves and try to build whatever they have been able to build and put together.
It looks very. I think like that. Is there a side that is hasn't probably done well in the transfer window for you guys so far? Because it looks like Shayan said, it looks pretty tight to me, and it doesn't look like there's too much between, say, the mid-table sides. Apart from, you take aside Mohun Bagan and Mumbai City, it looks like most of these sides have done pretty well in the window, and it's going to be a very, very tight battle for the top six.
Very, very tight.
Yeah.
That was a very short answer, Shayan.
Very, very tight. It will be very, very tight. Because I said it before also, Arunauda, that this season will be the most toughest ISL season of last 9 seasons. Because if you see all the teams, and last week also we discussed this, that we have Mumbai City FC, Mohun Bagan, which are a league apart, but rest of the teams, what Rahul just now mentioned, are very difficult. I think on a given day, anyone. But somehow I feel Goa and Bengaluru are in a better place, according to me. I don't know about you all, but I think 4 teams, I think they are in a better position. And after that, I would have Odisha, and 5th position will be given to Odisha, and 6th and 7th Chennai. 6th is something, I think, Chennai. According to me, right now the tables look like this. But things can change like anything in football. You never know. 1 or 2 good signings here and there can make a huge difference. If you ask me the top 6 now, I will say these people, but you have very tough 7, 8, 9 waiting for you, because you have Kerala Blasters, you have East Bengal, you have then Jamshedpur, you have Northeast United, Round Plus Punjab. I think they have done a pretty decent job. I think you right now, what Arunaudas right now said, Northeast and Round Plus Punjab, they have done a pretty decent job in the signings. Especially Northeast, they got in Redim Talang, I think, which was a very good signing they did. Then they got in Dinesh and Falguni Singh, and where other ISL clubs were also in the race to get them. It was not easy. It was not a one-way traffic there. So it's good on their part they've gotten this, and I'm very happy that many of my friends in Highlander Brigade would be happy now. At least they would have somebody to they have a team to at least to cheer about. Because I also, being part of the East, I think this team needs to do well. And I think I'm looking forward to this exciting season of ISL starting from September.
Well,
And we're waiting for the other foreigners to be signed, right?
Yes.
And therefore, there's a lot of talk about potential foreign signings coming in here, there, and again, player switches. I think it's going to be interesting. The Durand Cup starting in August also means it gives time till the end of August actually to do transfers. I think clubs will suffer injuries, this and that, so there might be some switches here or there still to happen. Unlikely transfers again. You saw Mumbai City signing Jayesh Rane. I think that came out of the blue. Roy Krishna going to Odisha, nowhere to be discussed. And therefore we'll have to see. There's a lot of buzz about the under 17 boys. Ishan mentioning Gangte and Kuru. Gogocha is a player that I've heard a lot about, who's of course from Rendy's academy, who's been with the under 17s. But again, I think let's give these boys a chance. That's the problem. Ideally, they would have had the Indian Arrows to play and gain some I-League experience and then make the jump into the ISL, but that will not happen. So a lot of them already signing for ISL teams. So that's that. And it's, as Shan said, I think an exciting season to look forward to. And we still have 5 weeks to go when it comes to transfers.
Well, guys, any closing comments? Harry, Shan?
I think all the bases are covered.
Yeah.
Hiren looks a little tired. भाई इतना काम किया, मेहनत किया, now it's सोने का time हो गया.
नहीं वो नहीं, लेकिन I think we talked about all the clubs and the important signings. So I think.
Shine, anything parting comments?
I would say that we need to. I think the main concern, right now before the ISL starts, it will be the Asian Games and this AFC Champions League and this fiasco that would play. I think that would be many interesting days are ahead in Indian football, and I'm happy these things are at least happening, because previously hardly we used to have things and discuss things very less regarding Indian football. Right now, the team is playing a lot of matches, and which is good for the team, for the spectators. More and more people are getting involved, and I hope that this leads Indian football to a better place. And I really hope that this 2023 and early 24 would have some good impact on Indian football for next 10 years. I think this is 6 months it will be a make or break for us for next 10 years, because this is the time we need to push up and perform. Rather not beg.
My last comment would be that now the whatever which we are you can say demanding has been given. So now it's up to us, fans, AFF, players, ISL coaches, whoever जो भी इंडियन फुटबॉल का स्टेक होल्डर है, अब हमारे ऊपर है कि हमको डिलीवर करके देना है. अब आप किसी और के ऊपर आप क्या बोलते हैं कि ब्लेम नहीं डाल सकते कि ये नहीं था. अब सब कुछ आ चुका है. अब आपको करना है काम और डिलीवर करके देना है. बाकी अब ब्लेम गेम नहीं होना चाहिए कि भाई ये नहीं था इसलिए हुआ. अब क्या बोलते हैं कि सर नीचे करके काम करने लगो. बाकी सब कुछ होना जो चाहिए था आपको वो मिल चुका है. अब आपको डिलीवर करने की बारी है. अगर अभी आप डिलीवर नहीं करते और अभी भी आप बहानेबाजी करते रहोगे तो फिर आप ही में दिक्कत है. फिर बाहर पे ऊपर ब्लेम डालना ही गलत बात है.
Correct.
Very, very correct. Rahul?
I think it'll just be interesting. Like Shine said, it'll be interesting how we sort the situation out. We'll see. Yeah, tight ISL season, all of that. Let's see if those players are playing in the first, second week and then get back to ISL. They'll probably be playing for the Indian national team. Who knows? But yeah, and the wait, we'll just have to see. I think in a week or so, hopefully you get more clarity around the situation and we see who will be playing in which tournament. That's probably the most crucial thing. Well, I don't know why you usually say this, but guys, everybody subscribe to Sports Kabri, to Arun Foot, to Curious Harry, and Indian Food and Football Science channel. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for joining in, and we'll be back next week. Good night.
Thanks a lot. Like, share, and subscribe, right? That's the ending. And again, do follow it. Do follow Indian football. We'll be back. And again, tomorrow, the draw for the World Cup qualifiers and the Under-23 Asian Cup.
Harry,
Asian Games. Not to forget Asian Games. There's so many draws tomorrow. Follow all the draws tomorrow.
Excited, too much excited. एक दिन में दो ड्रॉ. पहली बार इंडियन फुटबॉल की हिस्ट्री में हो रहा है. एक दिन में दो कॉम्पिटिशन ड्रॉ.
लेट्स सी कल का दिन अच्छा हो, कल भी थर्सडे है, एशियन कप का ड्रॉ भी थर्सडे का हुआ था और कल भी
अरे।
थर्सडे है, वही डर लग कल को
All
अच्छा
is
से
well, all
लक्ष्मी
is
देवी का
well,
पूजा
all
करना
is well, all is well, all is well.
राइट
Shahid, the only question is which pot is India in?
That's the.
I've not found anything, huh?
There is a one breaking news that Sri Lanka has been allowed in the AFC draws. So there will be changes in the ports. Hong Kong will move to the last port 4, because they are currently on the port 3. So they will be moving on to the port 4.
अरे हांगकांग going to pot 4, they were very good team in pot 3 na, very good team. Very
Shahid is
competitive.
already looking forward to traveling to Kuwait City, na? So
Let's see.
okay, all right. Thanks, guys, being part of this latest episode of Candid Football Conversations. And as said, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back very, very soon. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.